fast forward to the case of Gabby Petito. People want to know, how did they locate her so fast? Why did she get the news coverage, the media coverage that she got? It's because she is a YouTuber. She documented her story, her 4-month journey from the East to the West and back on Instagram and YouTube. So she was a social media celebrity. People were living vicariously through her and her boyfriend, Brian's journey across the country. Every city they stopped in and they ate breakfast and they took selfies, that was publicized. So everyone had a trail to follow them. They had a make and model of their car, their van, and license plate. They have video of Brian Laundrie when they were stopped. They have every type of evidence to know that not only that something happened, but we now have leads. That is the stories that go to the top of the menu. You have to have evidence, proof, and those type of things working in your favor before authorities, like I said, exercise that. Now, I am going to play Couch Detective here. I'm actually going to play Couch Detective back to now Jelani Day. This was a well-to-do young man. Okay? This is what I think happened. Okay? He went inside of a marijuana place. Okay? Now, I don't know if he was using, I don't know if he was buying for somebody else, or I don't know if he was selling. But sounds like to me, ladies and gentlemen, that he was being followed, watched and followed. Here is a young looking, well-to-do guy who, and driving a nice car, who to that criminal element, that lowlife that was watching him, maybe 2 or 3 guys, seen him go into that marijuana store, they were probably dope heads. Now, that's if they didn't know him or know who he was. Maybe it got to a point to where if he did know them and, you know, they robbed him for money, they didn't want his car, that would have been crazy to drive around the car because, you know, they would be easily found. So they ditched the car, and the body that they found, or actually they found pieces of his clothing that when he was last seen on camera, that matched the description of, you know, of the clothing they found in the car or near his vehicle. And so that's how they figure maybe they took his clothes off, they beat him or something, or robbed him of what he had. Definitely probably if he brought some weed inside that store, something like that. Like I say, which direction, we don't know. Well, really not important right now, but it's just a factor. Like I say, I am playing Couch Detective. So these lowlifes followed him. You know, they didn't abduct him. You know, it's very rare a lot of times when men are abducted unless they have a lot of money. You can hear his mother put up $25,000. So they are a well-to-do family. She mentioned the father, which is kind of rare in these particular cases. You know, everybody thinks that some kind of way that you just come in this world with a mother and you don't have a father. But she mentioned the father. You can call, you know, the father, you can call me. Okay? So some kind of way this is what happened. Now, I'm getting ready to thicken the plot just a little bit more. Okay. Chances are, ladies and gentlemen, chances are that that assailant and thinking about him, 25 years old, for him to be in that particular predicament, in that shape, and end up that way, something tells me there was more than one dude. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of play and think that maybe was it probably three or more who think they were getting big money from Jelani. That's what they thought. So these three dudes or four dudes attacked him. So Bloomington, Illinois is about 100 miles or so south of Chicago. Okay? So, unless you're Jesse Smollett, there ain't no white guys running around that area abducting black guys coming out of a cannabis store, taking their car, abducting them, beating them, robbing them, and leaving them for dead, possibly even dead. No way. There ain't no white guys doing that. So in other words, just like 96% of the time with pretty much any race, especially when it comes to violent crimes like this, the perpetrator and the victim are of the same blood, if you know what I mean. This is another reason why, ladies and gentlemen, it is not getting the publicity that some people might think it should get. Now, first of all, don't let me get this twisted. First and foremost, you have to have the information. And then second of all, the perpetrator, not the victim, but the perpetrator is the next reason to why these stories have either dog legs or tall giraffe legs. Once again, ain't no white guys, unless you're Jesse Smollett, running around in white sheets in Chicago abducting black men. No. If there was any inkling that white people did this, that these were three hooded white men, three white guys who went to Duke and raped the lacrosse team and raped the girl. That's right, they didn't do that. But if there's any inkling that these guys or whoever did this was white, this story would go above the Gabby Petito story. It would. They don't know who it could be, but once again, if the reason that it's not that way, because this looks like, and it's probably going to be another case of black on black crime. So here we go now, folks. Now the story is really getting ready to become juicy. So now, on the heels of Gabby Petito, this news station in St. Louis, Missouri, which is only like 100 or so miles in the other direction from Bloomington, they pick up the story. And now, remember what I said at the top of this particular episode? What is that word I always bring to your attention, to what drives the narrative forward, which is the protagonist of all media coverage? Race. Here it comes. It's a big fat softball, and you can see it from a mile away. This particular station reaches out to Carmen Day on the heels of the Gabby Petito situation. They have two objectives, and I'm going to let you hear the soundbite for this. The two objectives that they have is, one, to show America that Jelani Day is this wonderful young man, which he is. He's this honor student, which he is. He's a well-to-do young man, which he is. But that has nothing to do with the publicity and the resources that's garnered to your situation. But here they go. They're trying to build the race card. So they have her on, and they're going to ask her a few questions about that. When she's speaking on it, she is going to tell you what you already know, what I've told you. Once again, here's Carmen Day.
Again, a lot of people have become familiar with Jelani's history, his prospects, his hopes online. If people haven't run into that, he was a graduate student. It's hard to get into graduate school. You got to have big plans and bright horizons for that. He sounds like a really driven young man.
He's very driven. Jelani is energetic. He's full of life, and he's goal driven. He knows what he wants, and his goal was to be Dr. Jelani Day. I'm very proud of Jelani, because Jelani he's in this program that is very demanding, and while in this program, Jelani kept his GPA up. Jelani just did everything that I expected him to do. Jelani is he's just a normal, growing up 25-year-old that was enjoying his life. He loved to have fun with his friends. He loved to travel. And he was in school. He was studying to be a speech pathologist. He wanted to be Dr. Jelani Day.
Ladies and gentlemen, when a news outlet and the powers that be inside of a news station invites a guest, especially a private citizen who's tragically lost a loved one in the community or wherever, when they are invited to a station to speak on air, it is not for your entertainment. It is a purpose for that. Sometimes more than one. And in this particular purpose, there are two purposes. The first purpose, like I said, was to tell you how good he was. Now, another thing that they do that is done is that there's a perception that it's done live and that the guest is going to sit down and the interviewer is going to fire him or her questions, and they're just going to come back with whatever comes to their mind first. That's not how it is. Interviewees are prepped. They come on there for a particular objective, and that's what they're told that they're trying to do. And they're going to reach that objective. She knew what she was coming on there for. Remember, this was done yesterday. Remember, the first interview, nothing to do with race. But now they're trying to compare this to the Gabby Petito thing. So the interviewer has what he